Hi everyone. I just wanted to make a quick apology about the audio of this first podcast. Because it was my first time, I have forgotten to click a button, and I'm very sorry. If you can bear with the audio, I hope that you'll like it, and if you can't, I completely understand. Thanks. Welcome, Clay.
Thank you. Feels weird because we talk a lot.
Yeah, but this is just something we'll try out. See where it goes.
Where should we start?
Well, yeah.
You're doing well.
Well, I'll start by saying how we met at work. I went and started a new job, and somebody told me to go talk to you because we have similar interests.
Pretty much the way it worked out for me too. Yes, I got told to come and talk to you.
Was that by Mickey as well?
It was, but instead of doing that, I thought I might just drop a couple of hints here and there and just see if you pick up. Yeah.
I don't think you dropped any hints.
Maybe I'm just not subtle enough. Too subtle. Yeah.
I just said, hey man, you're the man to talk to about DMT. And then you were like, bam.
Oh, that's right. Actually, I'm pretty sure it was in the lunchroom. I just started. Somebody asked how my day was going, or how the swing was going, and I was like, "Oh, it'd be a whole lot better if I had some DMT." And I knew you were in the room, and I was just having a look to see how you'd react to it. And I could see in your eyes you perked up a bit. I'm like, righto.
Like, Jesus, this guy's talking about it just willy-nilly in front of his workmates.
Fuck yeah.
I've always been secretive.
Not a good way to be.
Or choosing who I share it with. Not just telling everybody, but we've talked about this a lot.
This is our little area where I think we're getting closer toward having a similar philosophy, but...
Yeah, I keep changing as well. Yeah, in 1 minute I'm like, I'll be quite open to whoever and see if they take it or leave it. And then in the next minute I'm like, oh no, I don't want to tell you nothing.
Yeah, I mean, just broadly, that's how I approach my whole life as well. Like, some people are open books with their life, and some people are very guarded. And I've just been always like, my life is my life, but I don't own it. It's just part of my story, and I'm more than willing to share my story with anyone. Sometimes I've got to think to myself, hang on, what you're talking about, is that legal or illegal? And you got to be careful that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way I view it is if you're talking about stuff that's happened in the past tense, then there's really no repercussions there, legality wise. So yeah, I tend to be pretty open. And you've pointed it out before, I like to stir people up. I like to just throw something out there pretty provocative and just see how you react to it, because that gives me an indication of just how closed-minded you are or open-minded, and I can get a pretty good sense of whether I'm going to get along with you or not pretty quick. I think it's a very good way of wading through the waters of that first icky few months of meeting someone and, like tiptoeing around the...
Are we going to be best friends or not?
Yeah, well, I don't want to waste 3, 4, 5 months on someone and then go, nah, we're just not clicking.
Yeah, because it's such a big part of who we are.
And as you know, FIFO, you don't get time. You don't have time.
No. And yes, Clay and I also work FIFO in the mining industry. It's a love-hate thing we have with it. I think
more hate at the moment.
most people feel similar to us. But someone's going to do it, and I was talking about this the other day. I feel like I'm definitely meant to be there because there's a lot of spiritual people like us that need more people like us, and I think we're there to balance that industry so it doesn't become so ego orientated and horrible and toxic everybody, and we just kind of put a bit more love in when we can. We're not beat down by the negativity.
Yeah, it's funny because even between the crews, we've got a very unique crew as far as just our site goes. I've worked on the other two crews, and it's definitely, we don't have the same mix of people that we've got on ours. It's quite interesting how it all panned out. But it's a strange. I'm in a strange place with FIFO right now. I know that I have to be, and sometimes I actually really enjoy what I'm doing. But I just feel like at the moment the balance is out. Like my mental health is starting to tip over toward the unbalanced side, and I've told you that there's just seems to be a bit of darkness popping in, and I don't really know enough about the other side to know whether this darkness is part of me that's being projected out there, or whether your mood, your low state can bring stuff in.
That is definitely true. It can.
Yeah. But whatever it is, I can feel it like hanging like a cloud, and it affects your judgment, and it affects your ability to be able to, keep yourself stable, happy, keep your outlook steady, where you're like, right, this is not really what I want to do, but you can justify why you have to be there. At the moment, I'm finding it really hard to justify why I'm there, even though I know why I'm there, but your emotions won't balance.
I think, as you were saying before, that you and Tara have sat down and got some goals happening. I think that's a really good step into hanging in there. Just thinking about them constantly.
Yeah, 9 years. Yeah, I'm going on 9 years now in mining.
I think I'm about 8, almost 9.
What are we doing?
What have we done?
What are we still doing? Yeah, nah. And a lot of it for me at the moment is because my role has changed so much. I'm just trying to find a new purpose, a new worth. I knew what my worth was there 12 months ago. I was a dozer operator, and I was very good, and that's what I was. Now my body won't allow me to do that, and I'm trying to just figure out what I am now up there, and it's been a bit challenging.
And you had some time off during this safety rep transition, so you don't really feel like you're adopting a role of a safety rep or just that either.
Oh, hell no. No, I had the other safety rep from the other crew pull me aside the other day, and I noticed that you hadn't entered this into the book, and you hadn't done that, and have you gone over to this website on whatever drive? And I'm like, dude, I don't get my cock out over X's and O's and stats and graphs and figures. That's not how I do it.
Is it a requirement though? Is that what I should thought of?
No, not really. No.
Make her life easier?
Him,
sorry.
but we will keep him. But
I thought that was my fault. I thought that was a woman doing it on the other crew.
Not unless it's a proxy.
I'm probably wrong.
But yeah, like the whole reason I got into the safety rep thing is because it can be a vehicle for you to change the way people are feeling at work as well. It's not just. That's why a lot of what I do in there is all about, like, let's keep things fun, let's keep things upbeat, let's have a laugh, let's take the piss out of each other while we're doing it. But I saw the impact it can have on the crew as a whole when I was at Telfer, and I did it there, and the bosses allowed me full freedom to do whatever I wanted. And I turned it. So for me, it's less safety focused and more team building, and just keeping everyone happy and bringing a bit of fun into the workplace. And then to me, like the old adage, a family that plays together stays together. Same thing with the crew. A crew that has fun together are going to look out for each other and are going to be safer. So that's one of the philosophies going on in there. But the safety thing, it feels like going one step backwards, because it's what I did at Telfer, and I didn't want to go back to that. But with the change in my role at work, it's sort of leading in that direction. I just need more things. I need more things to keep me busy now. But talking about keeping busy, like, how you going being full-time on the truck all this time?
Oh, I mean, yeah, so when I first started, I was under the impression I'll be on all the other machines I can operate. And then I get here and it's a bit of a boys' club.
Yep.
And I'm told no. And I'm like, okay, so I need to let go of that and let my ego get over it. And my ego is like, but I'm good at it. Why would you not? But I think it's okay because I get a lot of processing done. Like I'm healing on myself, especially night shift, and I can just cry in the truck and I'm good. I don't have to call everybody up all the time. But if I was in the grader, it's a lot harder to do. I have done it at other places because I just tend to have to do work up there. It's the land's powerful, night shift is powerful, lack of sleep just makes you more in tune into the spirit realm, and I just feel a lot when I'm up there, and like the people push you, the job pushes you, the hours push you, and you get to that breaking point of and then I actively try and work on myself every day. But being in a truck, I'm okay with it, because if I was to operate the other machines, they're not prepared to pay me for that.
I think that's probably half the reason why it hasn't happened so far. Everyone who sort of gets one machine ticked off tends to start pushing management for a pay rise, and I think if they, in their mind, settle you into one category, they don't want too many more people bashing down the door for a rise.
I'm trying to be grateful because I'm on a truck and I'm earning way more money than I ever earned operating all the machines that I could at different places, and I'm just driving a truck. I'm trying to be so grateful, because who else can do that? It's easy money. I mean, it's dangerous and scary at times when there's some close calls, but so it's a big mental thing for me. Just staying alert, staying in the truck, staying happy and focused. I'm trying to dance in there. I'm trying to sing, listen to music, some podcasts when you can.
Yeah, I quite enjoy the trucks when I get time on them. But it's funny what you're saying about the land and night shift. I feel a real affinity to the land up there, and something powerful happens on night shift. Like as soon as that sun goes down, a lot of stuff goes on upstairs. You can sort of solve the world's problems, really. But
I was thinking, what am I going to do for my own? Because of how much work I do get done up there. Like what's going to replace that when I do leave mining? It'll have to be like long drives or something.
Oh, I love driving.
Yeah.
Love it.
I used to go on drives all the time. And it'll have to be something like that, or to find a replacement. Because even when I have clients come, because I do energy healing at home sometimes, even when I have clients come and I get into that space of holding the space and just being a vessel for stuff to flow through, a lot of my own stuff comes and the client will trigger stuff for me to work on, and so that a lot of that happens whilst I'm creating the space for them to do their healing. And so that might replace it, but there's something about the land up there, I love road trips around Australia. It's just powerful land, and the things you see walking around, especially at low time, things like that.
Faces in the trees and
the walls and rocks.
I love the Pilbara. Just
sunsets and thunderstorms and
just everything. I mean, I spent a lot of time in the Pilbara growing up and hadn't been back there for a long time. I remember when my plane first landed to come back into mining for the first time, and I saw that red dirt, and I was like, it just felt like home. It just really felt like home. And the rocky outcrops, and loved it. I've just got such an affinity for it.
I think that's part of why we're stuck there as well.
It just feels like home. It really does. I love it. And it feels weird digging it out, but I just love it. And being so close to Karratha now as well. Before I was 400 kilometres inland, but now that we're right on the beach, and 40 minutes outside of Karratha, it's pretty special.
What was I going to say? Oh, another big part of what mining has done for me is given me the opportunity to have a bit of extra money to go and do retreats and meditations and ceremonies and connect with myself on deeper levels that way and see kinesiologists and go to chiropractors and massages and really look after this vessel because the job is so hard on the vessel.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's
12 hours sitting.
It's just all part of that give take. I mean, what mining takes away from you, it gives other opportunities that oftentimes you're not thankful enough for.
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot, and so when I first began mining, I was obviously a completely different person, and I was very angry, more so than I get now. I was very angry, very naive, very unaware, totally unaware. I thought I was self-aware, and I thought I was quite wise, and the more I learned about myself, the more I realised I know nothing. And it's just transformed me because of giving me those opportunities to seek out different people, because it's such a hard environment. It's forced me to seek help, to go and see those people that are good at what they do. My kinesiologist, Tess, she's coming in for a podcast, and she has saved my life. I can't even, the way that she does things, I haven't gone to any other kinesiologist, so I can't say for anyone else, but the way she does things is she's also spiritual. She talks to your body through muscle monitoring, and I'm laying on the table and I see the puzzle pieces of my life as to why I am the way I am come together, and it's almost like ceremony. And I'm just showing, what I behaved like a fucking bitch. Why did I do that? Oh, because of this over here. That's why you lashed out at this person. Or, why were you feeling all of these feelings? Oh, that's because of this other thing. And that's because you haven't set boundaries, or you haven't done this, or this. And then she helps explain how to do those things. How to start building yourself up and putting yourself back together. And I just... she makes sense in the world, It's honestly saved my life.
Yeah, I've had some good kinesiology in the past. It almost gets under your guard without you even knowing what it's doing. 1 minute I'm just having a chat with this person, and then the next thing you're just balls deep in some of the biggest issues you've got in your life, and you're unraveling stuff, and you're like, how the fuck did we get to that point from where we were just then banging a triangle and making this noise or whatever was happening. But yeah, it's probably one of the first times in my life that I've ever been open to that kind of stuff, because normally, I would say that I had a very scientific mind before I reckon I was probably easily in my mid to late 20s before I started to become open to all of this kind of stuff that I'm getting open to now.
Even with your ability to see spirits and stuff?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. I viewed that as more of just a hindrance, a bit of a curse.
Oh, yeah.
And I tried to avoid it for the longest time growing up. And I think you can actually squash the ability, you can dampen it, or whatever we do, we sort of put a fog.
I turned mine off for a while.
Yeah, and I sort of find that I can't really turn it back on at the moment. As far as seeing things, I can feel a lot of stuff, I just can't see a lot of things. But but yeah, like, I think the problem for me is that I was open when I was a teenager, and then into my early 20s, and then I sort of had a pretty hard time with amphetamines. It was meth and MDMA, like pretty heavily, and that just changes you. Like it just strips your ability to be yourself almost. Like, I lost who I was. I completely lost who I was for a lot of years. And it just so happened that the person I was with at the time was in the same sort of self-destructive spiral. And it just weakens you. It takes away all your inner strength. And I think that's where a lot of your spirituality is based, is just that inner energy. And you just have none of it. You just have none of it. And it was probably late 20s, like met Tara, become a father, and then you get the responsibilities of parenthood, and then that changes you and it changes your focus. And yeah, so it's pretty much mining. Mining is probably what turned it all around, really, in a weird way, because it got me away from that lifestyle, away from the amphetamine lifestyle. It forces you to grow up and take responsibility, because you're isolated. Your mental health is a challenge, and you've got to become tougher. You've got to become disciplined. You've got to embrace routine and structure. And then of course through mining, I happened to meet a lot of people in the psychedelic realm, and I mean that changed everything. Cactus was where it all started for me, and that was through mining. Found my contact through mining, and that was it. Never looked back.
So when you first, tried it, were you like, holy shit, there's magic in the world?
What it did, I remember the first time I did cactus so clearly. I was so used to this artificial thing going into my body and it feeling man-made and it producing a man-made response that it was repeatable. It just became very boring to me, I guess, MDMA. Euphoric, but nothing challenged me. But the first time I did psychedelics, it felt like I was the real me for the first time in years and years and years. It was bizarre. I felt organic. I felt natural. I felt, like I was made of atoms and electrons again, not just this. I don't know. Like, I think humanity the society conditions you now. Everything becomes robotic, and I just felt earthy. I just kept rubbing my toes through the grass, and it just felt so real, and do you know what I mean? Like where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
And then, it was, pretty powerful stuff. What about you? What was your first psychedelic?
My first psychedelic was ayahuasca.
Really?
Yeah.
Talk about going in the deep end.
Yeah, I was hunting for it. So I just started seeing things about it. I read something about it, and it sounded like my cure for all the shit I'd been through. And I was like, I don't think that's possible, but I'm at my wit's end and I'm going to try it. Because I tried counsellors and psychologists, and nothing seemed to work. You just kept saying the same shit and nothing changes. And I wasn't, I think there is a purpose for counselling and psychology, because you can change the way you think, but I respond best to feelings. And when I feel something, that's when I understand it. And so I couldn't change the way I thought until I felt new feelings. And I hadn't felt any new feelings for many years. And so when I read what ayahuasca can do, I was like, that is what I need, and I have to do it. So I was hunting for it for about 4 years before I finally found it. And when I did find it, I had to wait another year to get my body right because I was eating like crap. And I'm very sick. So I had to change my whole diet. And I was like, I'm changing my diet so I'm ready to go whenever the opportunity comes. And yeah, I felt unconditional love for the first time in my life during those ceremonies. And I was like, holy shit, there is this other world available to me and I need to know more.
That unconditional love, that seems to be just a constant thread that runs through everyone's experience, no matter if they've had a good one or a bad one. I remember saying that I'd never felt more happy, or like it was just an all-encompassing love, euphoria. I just felt like I was being wrapped in a love blanket, and it was endless. And
for everything that you are.
Everything. For everything, everyone, for my life, good and bad, for all the blessings I've been given. Yeah, it was pretty unbelievable, actually. And quite unique, I found, to that particular medicine. I've had similar types of experiences on San Pedro and mushrooms as well, but not to that level, not to that all-encompassing level. For me, the other stuff, I get more of a feeling of oneness with the world, my place in it, my place in nature.
What other stuff are you referring to?
I like mushrooms especially, and San Pedro. Yeah, for me, it's much more of just that oneness. But ayahuasca was just that crazy feeling of love, like wrapped in amongst like a tumultuous previous however many hours. You can just be hit with this wave of, oh my God, like, this is amazing. This is life. This is love. This is what God must be, you know.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I want to worship something. I don't know. I'm not keen to worship anything.
Yeah, I think life just bogs you down sometimes and you forget just how unbelievably lucky we are to even be here, to even be able to have that kind of experience.
And the fact that we live in Australia, where we can have a roof over our head, food, water, it's easy.
Yeah. I take a lot of shit for granted. I do. And
it's just it's a process of reminding yourself to be grateful. And
psychedelics are the ultimate reminder. They will just sit you on your ass and go, righto, you forgot, here's what you got. But by the same token, it can kick your ass as well. But I love the ass kickings as much as I love the other stuff. I've had my ass kicked quite a few times.
Yeah, you get a lot of learning from the ass kickings.
Yeah, probably the biggest ass kicking I've ever taken was on Hawaiian Baby Woodrows, like I was telling you about, quite easily purchased off eBay. Like, they're really easy to get hold of, and a lot of head shops will sell them. A lot of the herb shops around Frio used to sell them. I don't know, I haven't looked for a long, long time, but they've got LSA, which is basically one molecule away from being LSD. So very, very similar experience.
But natural.
Yeah, natural, but wow, just so powerful. Oh my God, so powerful. And like any plant, it can change from batch to batch. So I was getting used to trying one batch and had maybe 10 seeds of that to get to a nice level, and then decided to go out. We're out in Northbridge or Mount Lawley or something, and everyone else was on MDMA. At the time I couldn't afford MDMA, but I had these seeds and I'm like, yeah, I'll just do that and just get a little bit buzzy and try and match these people. and got way more than I bargained for, way more. I had 10 of these seeds, equivalent to what I was taking with the other batch. And this turned out to be at least 2 times as strong, maybe 3 times as strong. And had these seeds, and I was just on a complete other planet. Yeah, went to the gay bar in Northbridge, and yeah, when you're surrounded by hundreds, if not, I don't know what the capacity is there, maybe a couple of thousand people, in a genre of life different than yours, let's just say, and you're in that psychedelic headspace, it was just crazy. It was absolutely crazy and just so overwhelming. At one point, I just went to Tara and said, "I got to go. We've got to go. We've got to get out of here. I've got to go home." And she was in the same vein. I was just like, "Yeah, let's get out of here. Let's get a cab." And we got into a cab and got home. And it wasn't until I got home in my own 4 walls where I could actually embrace just how fucked I was that I realised how fucked I was. My God. I mean, I had auditory hallucinations. I thought somebody was playing an acoustic guitar in the corner of my room. At one point, I thought it was a person playing a guitar to me. I was lying on the bed on my blankets, and it felt like I was on like an air mattress on an ocean, and I was just waving up and down this ocean. And then I thought I'd just need something to ground me. I'll go and make a coffee. And I went into the kitchen. I didn't look like my kitchen. I didn't know whose house I was in. I didn't know what the kettle was. I had a cup and a spoon, and I was thinking, what do I do here? I just had no idea. And behind all of that was just this heavy, heavy psychedelic feeling just engulfing you. You know what it's like. It's just crazy. And it was all happening at once. And I had a big break from psychedelics after that, and I was just like, holy shit, it just kicked my ass for a good 10 or more hours. Yeah, it was brutal. Tara was getting her ass kicked big time, and she's like, I'm never touching that stuff ever again. It was pretty brutal. And funnily enough, after that point, I did have my big break. And then it was maybe a year or 2 after is when I started mining, and then found my Pedro guy. And I'd been growing the Pedro for a while, and I was like, I don't know if I ever actually want to try it. I did all the research on how to make the tea and everything else. And then my best mate as well was sort of like, we need to try this. And I finally summoned the courage to have a go and make the tea. And I was expecting something like I'd experienced off the seeds. It's nothing I was looking forward to. And then me and my friends just had the most unbelievable day ever. It was just epic. We're down at Point Walter, just laying on the grass among the trees, above a whole huge big troop of galahs and parrots. And I was just lying on the grass looking at this family of parrots. I could feel their little chirps and chatters. It just felt like conversation. I felt like part of the troop. I just felt like part of everything. I felt like part of the trees. I felt like part of the birds. I felt like part of the ants. I was letting the ants crawl all over me because I just felt like I'm just part of the ecosystem. And yeah, man, it just opened my eyes wide up. I was like, holy shit. Because I think life, it just forces you to separate yourself. I think it just forces you to separate from everything and everyone. That was the thought I was thinking of in your backyard earlier on. Ooh. It's just come back to me. But yeah, like...
You want to write it down?
No, I'll remember it now. But when you're in a hard job like we are, I just think it's any job. And that sort of that mask we put on to be able to deal with our life, our jobs and whatever else, the world. And then I think at some point that mask sort of becomes part of you, and in some stages it can actually be you. And I think the lowest points in my life anyway have been when that side of you becomes who you are. And I think that's a bit of my problem at the moment. I think I'm far too over in that side of things, and you just need to take off that mask and then reconnect with the world, with nature, with, I don't know, your true essence.
I think sometimes it's okay just take a little bit of the mask off slowly, not just all or nothing as well. I mean, in an ideal world, it would be amazing to have no mask, but there are people that do take advantage. Or, you know, when you're being your 100% yourself, they see it and they attack it, and then you want to put that mask back up, because who the fuck wants to be attacked all the time? And when back to what you were saying about doing your seeds in public, I haven't decided to do any psychedelics in public. I don't think I would feel well. I mean, I know people can and they do, but I need to definitely feel safe wherever I am. And even when I drink alcohol, I would rarely drink going out unless I felt safe.
And comfort as well. I think comfort is an overlooked factor. Me and my mates have done a lot of San Pedro in public parks. You know, in our own little nook, but you're still within the wider public. And it's amazing how much when you're out there that you just wish you had a fucking fridge with some fruit in it, or some orange juice, or just being close enough to a toilet that you didn't have to walk, 500 metres and make eye contact with straight people. Or just having a couch. Like, we did so much tripping in the park that after a while we sort of came to a mutual decision. Hey man, don't you think this would just be a lot better if we're at someone's house and, sitting in the lounge room, and, we can have the music right there if we want it. We've got the toilet right there. We've got food and drink right there. We've got the ability to change our scenery. We can go inside, outside. We can go for a walk in the bush. We haven't done anything in public for a long time. But it comes back to what we were talking about at the very start. Like, I like to make people feel uncomfortable in a weird sort of way. And I liked being out in public because it was my big fuck you middle finger to the world. It's like, I'm not hurting anyone. We're not robbing anyone's house. We're not being belligerent. We're not making noise. Like, I'm just out here doing what I do. So here it is. What are you going to do about it? Yeah. And then after a while, I just sort of thought to myself, I don't need to do that. I don't need to justify what I'm doing to people. But that's a big thing about psychedelics, isn't it? Like, we're always justifying.
I was always terrified of them because I'm terrified of my mind. Because we can easily get lost in it. And we know what we think. And I think that's what people are scared of. And they're like, oh shit, I think some fucked up stuff. I mean, what's it going to show me? I can at least stop myself thinking fucked up stuff sometimes. But
define fucked up. What do you mean by fucked up? Come on, mate, get it out there.
Well, when I was younger, I'd have all these scenarios, like if some of my family didn't come home when they were supposed to. Like, oh, they've been murdered, or they've had an accident, or just all the devastating things, or and then as I've gotten older, teen years, you wish bad shit to happen to other people. Sometimes when you're angry, just our brains can be fucked up. So, and like anyone who's been through trauma, I would think that I'm gonna be taken right back there and be experiencing it all over again. That was my one biggest fear, is to have that happen. And I have no control over it, and it's gonna keep happening until it wears off. That was my fear. And until I had tried any of them, and I still have that fear there with different psychedelics that I go and try. I'm like, oh, what's this one gonna do? And it takes a while for me to navigate through them, and I have to do them a few times to work out how it's communicating with me. And they each have their own language. That's what I've learned. And it takes me a few goes to understand them fully. And that's one thing I was terrified of, having to do stuff.
Yeah, I think that's...
But I think that's what people think is going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, at the ceremony that I went to, a lot of people were talking about that exact same thing. Like they were terrified of what trauma was going to be relived. That never crossed my mind, me personally. I mean, I've had some traumas in my life, but I don't know. I mean, what do you think that your traumas are energy based and there's still residual energy in your body?
Well, for starters, there's a memory point of it, and your imagination and your memory can make you feel things. So like if you can fully imagine that you're outside in a park with the wind blowing on you, you go back to a memory where you've been in a park with the wind blowing on you, and you can remember what that felt like. So if you're being forced to remember your trauma, you'll feel it again. But that's not what they do. They don't operate that way with me anyway. And a lot of people that I know, they don't ever take you back to those trauma places. I mean, they might show you something that is symbolic of it or can feel similar to it, but it's not for the whole time either. It's like a little blip to go, we're going to touch on this now and let's heal this.
Do your traumas still feel like yours? Because
they're fading.
Yeah,
they are fading.
For me, my traumas don't feel like mine anymore. I can remember them and I can feel them, but it just feels like this other life.
I was thinking that the other day. I was like, almost questioning, was that me that happened to?
I've had many moments where I've just gone, did I fucking imagine that whole thing?
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't feel like me.
I think it's because we've a lot of time has passed, and I think in our own ways that we've healed different parts of that, and so it no longer has the power over you like it used to. And so you let it go, and you're like, it's not controlling me anymore. And then just like anything, you put it away somewhere, and it's no longer present in your day to day. Some things still are present for me, but I'll get through them bit by bit.
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about it just recently. If our body regenerates every 7 years, like every part of our body is regenerated, what actually is left of that trauma that happened to this body? Like nothing. It only exists in the ether because we don't actually know what a memory is. They can't quantify what a memory is. And that's the only place it exists, right?
I like that statement there, but it could be like a virus that gets passed on to a new cell before the
could
other
be.
one dies.
Yeah.
Because I definitely know for myself that trauma stores in my body until I can. If I don't deal with it quite soon after something's happened, and I shove it down, I actually shove it into my body, and it will manifest in a disease or a illness or a failure in a joint or something. It'll affect me physically. No, yeah, if I don't deal straight away with something.
It feels like
I'll try and think back 7 years and work out what's happened in that space of time. Because that's interesting. I like that.
Well, what can you have left? I mean, unless you are the one keeping it alive, there's no physical reason that it can be there still.
Yeah, unless it's that virus.
Yeah. And who the fuck knows who's right and who's wrong, but hey, while we're throwing shit at the wall, and see what sticks. But no, it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, I've spent so many years trying to heal other people's trauma, like in my family, in my circle of friends and whatnot. Part of me just sort of, because I was at my mum's house yesterday and we've got a lot of crap going on in our family at the moment, a lot of estrangement between the brothers, and, my brother's got got terminal cancer and everyone's trying to get back in his life and he doesn't want it.
Yeah. I mean, you can understand that as well.
Yeah, well, I told my mum because she's like, what the hell is wrong with your bloody brother? And I said, mate, you haven't been a part of his life since he was 16. He's 52, right? So for him, it's not about, I'm dying, I need to fix these wrongs in my life. For him, he's at a comfortable point in his life and what he's got left, he doesn't want to disturb the peace.
Yeah, if I didn't want to see you for that many years, why would I want to see you?
Yeah, and I said, look, there's got to be a part of him that is just like, you only want to see me to make you feel better about me dying. It's not about me or making me feel better. And sometimes you just got to hit some people with home truths, but
you're good at that, but you do it tactfully, with love.
Yeah. And I just sort of said, look, you've written him a letter. You've said what you want to say to him. If he doesn't want anything further, then you've just got to respect that. And at the end of the day, it's his life. He's going to wrap it up in whatever kind of bow he wants. If bringing you back into the fold is not part of that closure, then that's his decision. That's his life.
Yeah, she needs to be okay with that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of shit going on there. But I've been talking to them about trauma. I was talking a lot about trauma yesterday. And Mum was like, I don't know how you've managed to be the person that you are, with all that you've been through. And it's like, well, what does that even mean? Like, life doesn't owe you anything. The universe doesn't owe me anything. Just whether you've had a hard life or a good life, there's no balance. There's no ledger where the universe goes, fuck, shit, you've had a rough time. You're in negative karma. We better fucking stock you up. It doesn't work that way.
It's a compliment. She's trying to give you a compliment because so many people are fucked up from the most smaller stuff happening.
We're all fucked up.
But some people, a lot of people let it ruin their lives forever.
Yeah.
She's giving you a compliment. She's impressed.
But it's...
I'm proud.
Yeah. Yeah.
She knows what she's put you through. And
we were talking about it yesterday and it's like, I'm so completely different to the rest of my family. It's just crazy how it all worked out. There's just a lack of patience. Like, nobody has any patience with each other. It's like, how do you ever expect to get past any hurdle you've got with another person in the family if you can't... Like, look, if I'm going to be close with you, right, I have to know that I can say anything to you, good or bad, and you're not going to walk out in the friendship.
Yeah.
Like, friends need to be able to be 100% straight with another friend without fear of, I'm never going to see you again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that with our family. Our family doesn't have that with each other. Nobody says what they think because as soon as they say something, the other one will run 100 miles and you won't speak to them for 5 years. So whenever we're around each other, everyone is fucking walking on eggshells. And I brought that up yesterday. I was like, look, how the fuck are you people ever going to figure anything out if you can't be real with each other?
Yeah. There's a way to give constructive feedback with love rather than being nasty and petty. And I think...
Do you learn that or do you have that within you?
I think you learn it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I definitely think you learn it.
I don't know who the fuck I learnt it off.
Someone.
Well, maybe you just learn it in your own life.
Yeah,
I
think so. I don't think I didn't learn mine with my family. I learned mine out of there. Yeah.
The big wide world.
And even the way, to honestly be able to take something that's hard to hear about yourself and then look at yourself and go, yeah, that could be right. And that's what people don't want to do if their ego shit. Like, oh, bullshit, I'm better than that. I'm not that. I'm not what you think I am. That may be so, but there's a part of you that possibly is.
I just had this urge right then to ask you to tell me something bad about me. What don't you like about me? No, we won't go there. My ego can't handle it.
I tell you anytime.
You do? Well.
I'm like, you're not listening to me whinge.
Well, you've told me at times I've been an asshole.
Yeah.
You told me at work, I think, last swing that... What did you say about me? Yeah, I think you said something about I was being fake or...
Oh, yeah, it was the mask. mask thing.
Yeah, the mask thing. And I was like, I didn't even know that I had it on. I thought I had it off, actually. But, yeah, I guess I didn't.
Yeah. No, but you and I speak the same language. So, I mean, you tell me when I'm fucking going off on too many tangents.
Well, people... I can't have people in my life that can't take me the way I am. And if you take me the way I am, then you must be that way inclined as well. I don't want to do this crap about continual improvement, but it is pretty much, you know how I feel about that woo-woo stuff. Am I using the woo-woo in the right context?
Not really.
Nah. Can you tell me the right woo-woo context?
Woo-woo is like, I mean, I don't want to make fun of people who are this way, but...
You don't have the patent on a woo-woo anyway, but anyway, go on. Woo-woo.
Woo-woo to me is just always being like,
You're not talking about being fluffy, airy-fairy.
Fluffy. That's what I call woo-woo.
Well, to me, woo-woo is like left of centre, kind of real spiritual, where the scientific normal community of people are just sort of like, that's a bit too, spacey for me.
Okay.
Anything.
Oh, you're using it right for you then.
Yeah. It's my woo-woo.
Yeah,
Leave my woo-woo for me. But I think it might have been a podcast, actually. I heard the woo-woo come out for the first time and I was like, I like that. Into my lexicon it goes. Yeah. But like the woo-woo came out a lot in that recent mental health presentation I made for the crew, because the reason why I kept throwing it out there...
Your woo-woo is also in psychology, and
I felt like I had to butter these people up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to just say,
I think you're not giving them enough credit.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, I think they understand more.
They do.
It's not as a collective, but individually they do. But they don't want to share it with each other.
Yeah. I mean, I got a lot of sharing afterwards.
I felt the room, dude. I felt the room just wanting to be like, we have so much pain, we want to share, but they're just terrified. I felt it. You could have heard a pin drop.
Yeah. I mean, I knew when I was talking, looking in people's eyes, I knew it was getting in.
We're referring to a safety meeting that Clay put together around mental health, and how he shared some stories about workers and friends that have taken their own lives in the industry, and just to really speak to everyone in the room about how important it is to, talk about your feelings and share with each other.
Look after yourself and look after each other. Like, it's just, we had that Are You OK Day, which is just, they might as well have just touched on it with pencil. Like, it gets no real value.
I disagree, because whenever an Are You OK Day comes up, people get angry that there's only one day dedicated to it. And
who have you been talking to?
Everyone, like you. You're like, Are You OK Day does nothing, which then in turn inspired you to do this safety meeting talk on mental health. And this is what people do. They're like, okay, this isn't enough, we need to do more. So the Are You OK Day just reminds people, like, hey, you got to check in with people. And then they make more of an effort because they're like, oh, just one day. We got to do more. And then they do their own thing. And there's more people that just spur off and do their own thing because of this one day.
Yeah.
Like, okay, example. I just found out that a guy we went to school with killed himself last week. And I was like, oh, fuck, And he was liking some of my pictures on Instagram. And I hadn't had him on there, so I don't know how he found me. And I noticed that there was an extra in a film. And the film just came out at Luna, 1%. And I was going to congratulate him, and I was searching for him just the other week. And I couldn't find his Insta again. So I was like, oh, damn. I'm really happy for him. And then I found out he's just taking his own life. I'm like, fuck. And I went and hung out with a friend yesterday, and she was telling me that one of our other friends, do you know? And he was like, yeah, been here for ages. And, you know, he had just started talking to him about psychedelics as well. And, yeah, so, I should say the names. I'm going to delete that.
You can delete.
Oh.
But yeah, it's funny how I've had 2 colleagues from my previous work now commit suicide, and apparently one guy committed suicide only a few days after this last one, 3 or 4 weeks ago. I didn't know him though; he'd started after I left. But I still don't think people understand like why people do it, or that success in your life has got nothing at all to do with it and how you feel and getting to that point. Because, like the guys that I know that have done it are successful people. In a lot of cases, they've got, women that love them or whatever the case is. Children, money, home, like none of that matters. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't factor into how you feel about yourself and how you feel about your circumstance, like whether it's whether you can get back that love for life or wanting to be alive, or whether it was ever there to begin with. It really opened up my eyes, and I've had a lot of chats with the guys in the months previous at work about their happiness, and there's so many unhappy people at work, and then when this guy took his own life, I just sort of thought, well, yeah, it'd be a pretty good time to chat to the group and just let them know my experience and just open up the door so that we can at least chat about it, maybe not in that forum, but at shift change or whatever. Or yeah, it's funny though, because who was I talking? I was talking to somebody maybe just yesterday about how I think society as a whole is just sick. Like we're sick at the moment. The world is ill. And that's why I think more and more people are turning to alternative therapies. Like,
and the government's trying to freaking stop it.
Well, hopefully, we've got a bit of momentum, but it's still going to be a long time away.
But they're cutting out rebates on alternative therapies.
Yeah,
a lot of them.
They've been doing that for a little while now.
More and more.
But yeah, that's right. My mum I was talking to about it. The human, physiologically speaking, we haven't evolved that much over the last 100 years, 200 years. We're pretty much what we were a couple of 100 years ago as an animal. But the way we live our life and the way we prioritise work and society and the way technology has just steamrolled our evolution. Our lives are 150,000% different than what it was 100 years ago, but we aren't any different. So I feel like this is creating this real internal combustion where, I feel it all the time. I just feel like this is not the way we're supposed to be living our lives. I feel it all the time. And the constant pressure, the constant speed of life, the pace, the focus on consumerism and money and wealth and work, We see someone working for 18 hours a day and sleeping for 2, and we're like, you want to clap. Yeah.
How are you doing it?
That's somebody to hold up in the esteem levels, but it's not right. We're not.
They're digging an early grave. But so, like even my phone, I've been getting dizzy looking at my phone lately, and that's when I know, okay, time to just have a break from technology for a while, go for a walk, go outside, go to the beach. Nature is our fucking healer.
Yeah, it's been there all along.
Yeah, and we're getting rid of it. It's a bit hard.
But I feel like, honestly, in my heart, I feel that psychedelics are the only way that we can cure this fucking madness that society is becoming now.
But you have to be ready for psychedelics. You have to be ready to own your shit and look at it and work. It's work. To me, it's work. I have to work hard at it.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on what you've got going on in your life. I mean, there are people I know that do psychedelics that have had a pretty blessed life and don't have anything to work through. So when they do it, it's just purely this amazing, euphoric, ethereal experience that makes them go, holy shit, this universe is fucking spectacular. Like,
well, that's nice to hear.
Do you know what I mean?
Anyone like that.
I have those moments. I've had plenty of experiences where I've just come out of it and have just been giggling like a little schoolgirl going, my God, what did I just experience? How cool is this world? Like, and that was enough for me to be able to push forward with my life. Like sometimes you just need to be reminded that
it's all good.
It's all good. This is amazing. Like, just going back to the suicide thing, I just wish that these people would be able to see that as long as you've got the ability to wake up the next morning, something good can happen. Like, it can get better. Yeah, it's
I think I don't ever feel angry at anyone who takes their own life, because I believe that it's just because they're in so much pain and they can't see past the pain and they just want the pain to stop, and that's the only way they know how it's going to stop. That's what I
think. I mean, there's definitely that whole there's no way out thing about it. We've spoken, I've been there before, and I fucking thank God every day, man, that for whatever reason it didn't work. But at that particular moment, I was in that boat. There was no future. I couldn't see a way out of this mess, and it was just like, fuck this. This shit is not worth it.
It's a huge part of like the teen suicides, because your hormones are going crazy, you have no foresight anyway, and you don't know what's possible yet. You've just been in school your whole life, and you think that's all that there is, really.
You've got to have some really wicked fucking structure around you, because I was a teenager. I was a late teenager. And I didn't, and this is no offence to my mum or my dad or my brothers, but nobody was really watching me closely. So nobody was looking out for any signs that I was going downhill. Yeah, so, I mean, it just makes me very, very...
And you didn't reach out?
No, hell no. I reached out for the bottle. Yeah, I was drinking a lot. I was a kid. But yeah, because there was no one to reach out to.
Yeah.
There was no one to reach out to. I didn't want to put that on my mum, because she just divorced my dad, and she was just getting herself back into the world, and she was wrapped up in her own life. And my brothers, none of them lived at home. So it wasn't, they all had their own lives. But I remember that feeling of just like, there is no coming back from this. Like, this will not get better. It's not going to get better. In fact, it's probably only going to get worse. Mm-hmm. And it was like, not only will it be better for me, it'll be better for everyone. Yeah. Like, I'm an anchor. I'm an anchor for everyone around me. This is, you're just fucking in pain from the minute you get up to the minute you go to bed. Mm-hmm. And then, but it didn't work for me. Maybe I didn't really want it. Who knows? But my attempts didn't work, and I don't know. When you're finally able to turn things around and look back I don't look back on that time as a traumatic time anymore. Yeah. It's that whole other world thing again. The whole other life. It just doesn't feel like my life. I look back on it and I'm like, man, that kid.
Yeah, that kid.
I wish I had me around that kid. Like, I'd tuck him under my arm and just go, mate, this world is a lot bigger than this little centralised area of problems that you have right now. It's bigger, and you'll get out in your own 2 feet and you'll have your own life and your own experiences, and you'll move so far beyond this that you will think it was ludicrous that you even considered doing it.
How old are you now?
Me, 41. 41, and I was 17 then. But, you know, there are so many cliches that are just cliches, but they are true. And what doesn't kill you only make you stronger. Definitely. That toughened me the fuck up like you would not believe when I finally got past it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, holy shit, man. It's like looking into the eye of the hurricane and then knowing that you can survive that and just going, well, nothing can touch me from here on in. Like, nothing. Of course, you're wrong. Shit does touch you. But
8 past 2, by the way.
Yeah, we can get another 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, that's for sure. Yeah. And each time you go through something difficult, it just builds you up to handle the next difficult thing that's, you know, more difficult than the last, and you wouldn't have been able to do it had you not been through that other shit you just went through.
And then your experience allows you to be a sounding post for other people that might be having experiences. So it's like a real tentacles spreading type scenario where...
And you want to help others that are in the situation you have.
Fucking oath.
Because you can just empathise with them like crazy, and you're like, oh, it's gonna get better. It will. Just gotta keep going.
That's what life is, man. It's just...
And having someone who can share your pain is healing in itself. Like someone just to hear you, to see you, to understand you.
That was one of the biggest learning lessons for me when I was with my ex-girlfriend, who's suffering severely from depression, is just... And I had to learn it. I didn't know it at first, and I would make the mistake all the time. Like, sometimes you don't need to have an answer, you just need to listen.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had to have an answer for everything she was feeling. And sometimes, like, they don't want that. You just want to be heard. Mm-hmm. And sometimes just speaking it is enough. But yeah, that's a skill that you definitely have to learn it. What are you appreciative about in your life? Like, we've talked enough about the doom, but that's life as well. Yeah. But at the moment in your life, what are you appreciative of?
I'm appreciative of you.
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
You help me a lot. I'm appreciative of this new rental that I'm in. It's surrounded by nature, and I just have been needing this badly. I'm appreciative of really, like, the friends I'm making these last couple of years are definitely solid lifers. And you know, a lot of people feel like they can't make friends once high school's over, you know, because there's not going to be an opportunity to bond like you do in school and stuff like that. But I have been able to find little gems and insert myself into their life, or vice versa. Like, I have had one friend who I didn't want to be friends with, and he was just persistent and wore me down because I was very closed when I met him. And now he's definitely a good egg that I'll keep. And he helps me a lot, I help him a lot. And then friends of friends, I'm just meeting amazing people who speak the same language, and I think it's good to just do things that you like go to yoga if you like yoga, go to art classes if you like art classes. You'll meet like-minded people, and I'm grateful for, you know, those things existing and being able to connect, and people that are willing to connect as well. I've met made friends with people who initially said to me, I'm here to work, I'm not here to make friends, up on site.
Oh, yeah, it happens all the time.
And I'm like, excuse me, you're going to be my friend. And next minute they're staying with me, for a time, and or they need help with something and I'm there to help them. And then they see that I'm not out to freaking get them. I'm just there to help them out. But it's a noise.
I didn't move.
I didn't move either. Anyway.
Interesting. What's the spiritual level like in this house? You felt anything? Anything going on here?
Yeah, I have, but nothing has shown themselves to me properly yet. But yeah, that could have been something.
Could have.
I'm not out to get them and then bang bang.
No, I haven't felt anything. It's usually I sort of case the joint out.
I've been smudging a lot.
Have you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I haven't felt anything. But it's always interesting going into a new house.
Yeah, and learning about the creaks and bones of the house itself and not thinking it's something else.
Yep. But I reckon I'd be spending a lot of time right out there in that chair looking over the trees. That's where I think I'd be sitting.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
I'd be there, I reckon. God.
Breakfast out there. I chill out there if I just...
When you were telling me earlier on today about your day, your healing day the other day, I was just thinking to myself, God, how weird it would feel to have my own house to myself without a wife and kids and just be able to make my own decisions, live my day how I want to live my day. Like, it's a bizarre concept to me at the moment. I get pockets of time to myself, which are mine.
You need that. Everyone needs that.
Yeah, but just to have a whole day, wow.
Well, I've been thinking about what the fuck am I going to do when I have a relationship? I think I'm going to have to consider somebody else.
You will.
I've been single for so long.
You will.
I want to make sure I have me time.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't want to rush into moving in with anybody because I'm fearful enough about a damn relationship. And I'm controlling but I've definitely learned with having housemates to fucking chill on that side of things. So I'm a lot better than what I was. I might even be good now. I don't know. I used to be like, oh, don't put the tea towel there.
You're one of them types, eh?
I was. I don't think I'm like that now. But it would be good to move into a new place if you're in a relationship that's beginning. Like both of you move into somewhere new.
Yeah.
So then you can figure it out together.
Yeah, it's not your territory.
Yeah, nobody's territory.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking like, shit, if I have a relationship, I'm going to have to check in with them and if they want to make plans and do stuff. But you're thinking, what the hell would I do with myself for the
Oh, full day. Fuck. I'd be into everything, mate, is what I tell you I'd be doing. But it was a lot like the closest experience I had is just when Tara was away for the weekend. I mean, I had the kids, but there was just sort of a level of, wow, like, I can just sit and watch TV and drink and I don't have to worry about how many I'm having. I can just have as many as I want. If I want to go and have some DMT, I'll go and have some DMT. Like, it was just weird and it's funny how I'm using this freedom just to highlight how many drugs I'd have. But, yeah, I don't know.
Though. You wouldn't. I don't think you
No,
would.
I wouldn't, and I didn't.
But you want the choice, not the option.
I don't know if I want the choice. It's so foreign to me. Like the whole idea of having individual freedom is so fucking foreign to me.
I mean, I think you should feel like you have that now.
I do, yeah. Look, I don't want to paint it out to be like
No, you're not.
I got the shackles on.
You definitely have. Tara's fucking cool.
We've got we're very separate. Like, we both got our separate lives. You have to when you're doing FIFO. Like,
Yeah.
I've learned to love my own company. I've learned to be me, not part of this
Other half of some.
this fucking clay tars conglomerate.
Yeah.
And she's had to learn how to be a single mum and have her own circle of friends. But then when we come back together, we're definitely together.
Mm-hmm.
But
you're a good team.
But yeah, the whole idea of just being single is just a weird, strange concept. Because, you know, I've been 16 years with Tara, and then there was a 3 or 4 month gap between her and my ex, who I was with for nearly 5 years. And then it was a 2 or a 3 month gap between her and the previous one, which was 8 or 9 months when I was a late teenager. So I don't even know what it's like to be single. I got no idea. Probably spent 4 or 5 months as an adult single. Weird. Sometimes you think you crave it, but you always crave what you don't have. Yeah. So sometimes I feel like, fuck, man, it'd be awesome just to have a week to myself. Like, that'd be awesome. But then she went over to Lancelin, I think, for 4 or 5 days, and I fucking didn't know what to do with myself. Like, I was almost depressed. You know, I just ended up drinking heaps because I was just bored and not knowing what to do, you know?
Well, that happens to me, like, with a breakup, when you've been with somebody for so long and then they're gone and you're like, what the fuck do I do? It takes a few weeks to find your own routine without them there. So, you know, it'd have to be like her gone for a few weeks before you really feel like you're knowing what to do with your time.
But you would think, you know, working away and having 2 weeks of your life already to be by yourself, you'd know what to do. But I guess it's different when you come back home and you're in
that other life.
The home. Yeah.
So there's 2 lives, really. A FIFO life and then a home life.
Oh, that's not a life, is it?
No, but it is. Like I don't know. I'm much more antisocial at work.
I felt like last swing, I told you this, last swing you seemed different. You seemed like you were putting yourself out there more.
I'm trying. I wanna let the crew know who I am. Yeah. Because
if they're going to think a certain way about you, then you might as well give them all the evidence.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, you sort of rocked up the shift change, and I think a few people were looking sideways, like, holy shit, is that Beck? That shift change.
Yeah.
With your cans out.
Saucy time.
But yeah, you try and keep yourself out there, and I'll try not to wear the mask as much.
Deal.
How about that?
I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to wrap up on too.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's getting close to you having to go 2:20.
Back to my life, back to my shackles.
Oh, you darlings.
Oh, finally we're going to have a night where we can just have a few drinks and like not having to wake up the next day for work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's been working a lot more this break.
Yeah.
Which has been alright.
Yeah.
I get stuff done.
Tell her hi from me.
I will. She might be listening.
Awesome.
One day.
Yeah.
Over the Ethernet.
Maybe pop it up. I want to get you guys over for dinner at some point. Maybe in a few more breaks' time when everything's sorted here. Boxes are unpacked.
Have you got Wi-Fi?
I do.
Oh, good, because that's a prerequisite for the kids.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technology, mate. Got to have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, done.
Everywhere we go. Dad, can you get the Wi-Fi password? Ask him yourself.
I'll hand it to him as soon as I walk in.
Yeah. That's the way it's going to have to happen.
Or they could just play outside for a while.
Oh, that doesn't happen anymore. It's a different world.
Okay.
It's a different world, unfortunately. But I could go for a play outside. We could hang a swing off that little tree over there.
I've been trying to look at a place where I can hang my hammock.
Well, I just hung my hammock that I bought from Bali. And it's so good.
Please send me a photo.
Yeah, I fell down. Can you see that little red bruise? Yeah, because I put it up and laid on it, and then bang, it just fell down straight away. I just didn't have a good enough knot. But I've worked out the knot now. Yeah, the knot and the rope. But yeah, you got heaps of places out there you could hang a hammock.
Yeah, mine's got a stretchy rope Kind. I'll show you after this.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you.
No worries.
Enjoying this with me.
No worries.
Awesome. I'm so excited.